Welcome back to Be Decisive. I'm Catherine Connor.
I'm Natalie Jimenez.
And this is the show where Natalie forces me into a decision each week. We usually don't know where we'll end up, but we know where we're going to start. Hence, TBD.
Oh boy.
Hello, we're back.
We are back.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
We left off last semester, and then we came back, and we got our show time, and I had some work commitments, but it's good to be back. October, hitting a fresh start.
Whoop whoop.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
So usually we come up with something that we've both seen, and Natalie forces me into a decision. So this week's a little different.
Yes.
I want to make a decision about this.
Thank God.
And
Growth.
And Natalie hasn't seen it, but I just need to talk through it. So spoilers. We're talking about the Joker. The new movie with Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips, came out Thursday or Friday. I think like officially Friday, but preview showings were Thursday. I saw it this week with some coworkers because I work at a movie theater. I feel like as we've mentioned before. And I had some feelings. So to start off, part of the reason I want to talk about it is because it is getting Oscar buzz, which is for a superhero movie really strange. It's not something you see often.
I didn't know that.
We saw it for the first time last year with Black Panther. This year, I don't think it's so much a Best Picture nom as it is Best Actor for Joaquin Phoenix, which
plays who?
Joaquin Phoenix. He plays Joker.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if he was nominated, but his last kind of buzzworthy role was The Lobster, which was an indie movie a few years back. The reason I want to talk about it was because there's a lot of controversy about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a well done movie.
Okay.
Start off with that.
Good.
I'm a movie buff. Cinematography was gorgeous. Production design, gorgeous. Joaquin Phoenix's performance, chilling. Okay. Really well done.
Great.
But you might have also seen that on Wednesday, or Tuesday, right before the movie dropped, an interview with director Todd Phillips dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said part of the reason he stopped making comedies was because of, quote, woke culture.
Okay.
He is the director of The Hangover, Due Date, and a bunch of those type of movies.
Yeah.
So first off, thoughts on that?
Woke culture?
Yeah.
I guess it's a phrase I've heard before. And
it's it's kind of linked to what people say is cancel culture.
I don't like cancel culture.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I don't cancel things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna give any examples because then that could come back. But it's more just like if an artist does something messed up, I don't delete every single song they've ever written off my phone. But I think that might also be because I lack connection with things like that. I don't know anything about famous people or care about them. But I was I don't know anything about celebrities at all. So it's kind of like when they do something wrong, I find it very disconnected from their art. Half the time, I don't know who the artist to what I'm listening to is.
So I guess my big question, okay, just to backtrack a little bit. When Me Too was first breaking, I have done countless research papers on Me Too. I've done presentations on Me Too. I think it's a really important and interesting movement. And people were going, it was really, I feel like the first time this was brought up, where it was, how do we handle the product of what these people have done?
Right.
Because they have done horrendous, unforgivable things. To me, unforgivable. I don't know. I guess it's at the end of the day up to the survivor.
Yeah.
But we can't deny that their work has shaped our culture. So for me, it took a lot of grappling with, I'll just use an old example, Alfred Hitchcock. I did not know anything about him. I really loved movies like Psycho and Vertigo and all those kind of old horror movies. I think they're really well done.
Yeah.
Obviously you have the 1960s over the top acting. But they're well done movies.
Yeah.
And then I found out that he basically exploited the actresses and he threatened them and abused his power.
Right.
And he was a horrendous human being. That's a little bit easier, I feel like, because we're so distant from it.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to be like, okay, well, I enjoyed the movies I've seen, but I'm not going to watch more.
Yeah.
With the current ones, I feel like people are grappling with, we'll just go with, this one was, I don't want to say Michael Jackson because he didn't completely fall to that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like R. Kelly was another big one where people are like, okay, can we still like his, or Kevin Spacey, can we still like their old projects without supporting their new ones? Where does that line fall?
I think that's like where I would fall on most of the cases. Most of the time I don't know what the person made when they get in trouble, but like I'll still watch or listen to old things, or not really watch, because I know House whatever, isn't Kevin Spacey the House of Cards dude?
Yes.
So like him, if I had been a House of Cards watcher, it probably would make me like uncomfortable to go back and watch it. Like I wasn't a House of Cards watcher and I wanted to watch it, and now I can't watch it because seeing him like makes me like it like makes me think, and I'm just like but like things like R. Kelly, it's like I don't listen to the creepy songs because they were always creepy songs.
They were always creepy.
But
I'm sorry, thank you. I'm glad one of us said it because they were always creepy. I
used to listen to them though, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. But like the songs that I did like I wasn't like, I'm never listening to this again.
Right.
Even though when I click the album now it comes to mind, but like I'm still able to dissociate from that to some extent.
Interesting.
But like I think TV is different because you have to see the person.
Right.
Like I can forget that R. Kelly singing.
So on a personal note with Kevin Spacey, right? Mm-hmm. One of my, I would say all-time favorite movies came out probably 2 years ago. It's Baby Driver.
Oh, I like that movie.
Directed by Edgar Wright. My man wrote, I don't know if he worked on with Nick Frost, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. He's an amazing British writer-director. He's just very sharp. He knows what he's doing. Kevin Spacey plays a huge role in Baby Driver. But at the end of the day, it's not, for me personally, I already owned it. So like it wasn't a monetary thing at this point. Mm-hmm. It's not Kevin Spacey's movie. Yeah. It's Edgar Wright's movie. Because you have so many other people that worked on that project. And at the end of the day, personally, I feel like Kevin Spacey already has so much wealth that realistically, he's not making all that much from this. Yeah. And I still don't feel great about that decision, but for my personal life, that is kind of what I've been forced into. Okay.
I get that. Now, connect me that to the, like, what was the issue with what the director said about the Joker thing?
So, basically, I just wanted to touch on cancel culture because, or quote unquote cancel culture, because of what he said, because a lot of people took issue with it. Yeah. The problem with comedy is there have been a large number of white male comedians that have either had issues with Me Too or most recently McGillis, I believe his name was, with SNL, got fired because he made an extraordinary number of racist jokes that weren't they weren't good. Yeah. There were clips of him on podcasts just dropping slurs and he was going, it's comedy, but it wasn't even in the context of a joke. And I don't think that excuses it personally. That's just where I fall. I think it's very easy to be funny without hurting people. Okay. I don't know. I think that's...
Do you think that people can't joke about everything?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I get very stressed out about that stuff. That's another episode. On another day. So basically, I just wanted to touch on that because part of that was people were saying, there were a lot of think pieces before this came out saying, does Joker send a bad message? Because it's about Joker's origin story. So is it going to sympathize or glorify these kind of white men who have been felt disenfranchised and then maybe committed shootings or murders or anything in our current culture? So I watched the movie. Great. Again, cinematography, production design, Joaquin Phoenix, top notch. I feel like it tries to make you feel too bad for Joker and it pins it on some weird stuff. Okay. Just to start, he has a disorder where he laughs when he doesn't mean to. It's I don't know if there's a name for it. if I had to compare it to a disorder most people would know, I'm not saying it's the same, but if I had to compare it, I would say somewhat similar to Tourette's.
Okay.
Because he's in a situation where it's clearly it's uncontrollable, it's clearly inappropriate. He doesn't feel it, but he's laughing.
Yeah.
So already there's a kind of strange connection to mental illness, and again, that has been in hot debate with all the shooting stuff. Then, there's constantly like he was abused as a child. He, I'm trying to think of something else where it was like he had a hard time. Oh, he gets beaten up a lot. Like he gets beaten up pretty badly on the subway. Like truly like kicked on the floor. There's 3 men kicking him kind of thing. I would say at least 2 or 3 times in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So I feel like they tried to drive the point home a little too much for comfort. Like I get it. He's been beaten up a lot.
Yeah.
And then at the end of one of those is when he commits his first murder and he kills 3 men. This then inspires a revolution because I would say it's like 70s New York. There's a huge wealth gap. The poor are angry. The rich are apathetic. There's a lot of feelings of us versus them.
Okay.
And then basically the clown, because he is a clown before this, like that's just his job. The clown murderer on the subway is viewed as this, for some people, this hero to hold up because the people that were beating him up and then he killed happened to be 3 men from Wall Street. And then basically it inspires riots and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen movies where that type of thing happens and it makes me like uncomfortable.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I'm trying to think of which movie it was because it was not that long ago because I don't watch a lot of movies. And I just can't remember. This is driving me crazy. But I get what you're saying. Like you're watching it and you're just kind of like, I don't know how to feel.
Yeah. So the whole time I was watching it, I wanted to kind of be immersed in it. I wanted to put it. I am one of those people. It's like the think pieces are great. Let's hold off judgment until after we see it because a lot of times marketing isn't accurate. We only have certain pieces of the information.
Right. Yes.
The other part of it is I didn't feel bad going to see it because I wasn't supporting it monetarily. I work at a theater, therefore one of my perks is I get to see movies for free. So I didn't have any qualms about that. I was like, I'm not supporting him in any way. I'm just seeing it and making a judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I walked in and I wanted to detach and make my own judgment, but the entire time I could not stop thinking about Todd Phillips saying, I stopped making comedies because of woke culture.
I remember what I was thinking of, and it was not a movie. In 13 Reasons Why, spoilers.
Oh yeah. By the way, whole episode spoilers. In case you hadn't noticed.
In 13 Reasons Why, the girl that kills herself, the boy that rapes her, she's dead, long dead. I think we're on season 3 or something. They spend a lot of the last season making you feel bad for him and giving him an excessive redemption arc. And it's just kind of like every episode is about this guy not being that bad. And like, he even gets like a love story. And I'm like, this is just throwing me off. I'm like, he is a rapist and we do not like him. And when they kill him, you're supposed to feel terrible for him. I mean, obviously they killed him, but I just feel like the whole season was dedicated to making him not that bad, or like making the things that he's done like kind of justified, like he has a bad home life. And the whole time I'm watching it and I was like, this is so weird. I was like, why are we doing this?
Right. So I think it is important. I think it's John Green or Hank Green, one of the Green brothers, that has a quote that says, imagine me complexly. And it's the idea that a person is more than what we see at face value,
of course,
which is true.
Yes.
And you never know what's going on with someone or what they're dealing with or anything like that. However, I think that's usually great. When you're arguing with someone, you have to imagine. Like for debating, I think that's fantastic.
But like when someone has done something like over and over
but
again.
Also, if it's repeated, but B, just in general, I think past experiences and traumas can be an explanation for why things have occurred.
Okay.
However, they are not an excuse.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the person themselves is responsible for breaking the cycle and making their own choices.
Yeah, and I think that's just like,
and that's what applies for me too, by the way. Like, I have things where I've, dealt with XYZ, but if something comes out of that and I lash at someone or whatever else,
you're like,
that's
on
not
you.
I'm not saying, oh, I'm sorry, it was because of this and that.
Yeah,
that's on me.
Right.
That is on me, and I will take responsibility and I will apologize and I will tell them what the context and that, but I don't expect that to be an excuse.
I agree. I just like, yeah, no, we're on the same page there. It was just, I don't know, maybe that's a thing that people are doing in TV now. Maybe it is because of the people who are making the shows and the movies that they see why we should empathize with that. But I think as a viewer, we have trouble because I don't want to feel bad for the rapist. I recognize that the rapist is like a person and
has a lot
they
going
have
on.
trouble, but they raped several people, and then we spent a whole season.
It's a serial offender.
Like him and his friends were like doing this several times. Ugh. There was just one girl that actually killed herself, and it was just like, why are we working so hard to make me empathize with him? I was like, I don't need to feel bad for this guy. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, I acknowledge he is a family and this and that and whatever. I know that. Yeah. He's a person.
Yeah.
However, he is also a person that has done these awful things. And guess what? I have been through whatever. Have I, assaulted anyone, murdered anyone? No.
Like,
do I plan to?
On doing that.
No. Like, there are healthier coping mechanisms that don't involve sadistic acts.
Interestingly enough, your explanation of the Joker makes me want to watch the movie.
Well, good thing I can help you watch it for free.
Yay, because I am bored.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, again, artistically, I think very well done. But I can't. I think this is my decision, is that there's something that's very hard for me to get past there. And I think I also want to differentiate really quickly before we kind of wrap up. I compared woke culture to cancel culture before, and I think there's a differentiation. When he says woke culture, I think he's talking about people getting offended.
Yes.
Which at the end of the day, anyone is allowed to be offended. You are saying something and they are allowed to be offended.
Yeah.
You have made the decision to say that thing.
Yeah.
And they feel how they feel. You cannot control their feelings. They cannot control their feelings. That is just the feeling that is elicited. Although, on a side note, after that article came out, I saw a cacophony of fantastic tweets. And there's one that I'm in particular thinking of, and it was, I'm so sorry to inform, and it listed it was like a thread of 3 tweets, and it was like John Mulaney, Taika Waititi, Ali Wong, all these fantastic comedians. It was like that they were no longer allowed to be funny without being offensive. And it had to be like 20 people.
Yeah.
And it was all these people that truly, I think, are smarter. I think it takes a smarter, not just smarter in general, but I think it takes a smarter wit.
Okay.
To be that funny without relying on old tropes. Frankly, I think relying on old tropes is lazy, kind of.
Okay.
I think playing with them and on them and maybe flipping them. I think Mulaney is a great example of that. I think that can be very funny.
Okay.
Because you're not being like, X race, am I right? You're saying, hey, that thing this person says, why is that? And you point at it and you look at it and you flip it and you're like, that's wrong. While also being hilarious. That's just, for comedy, I think that's where I tend to fall. I don't know, again, at the end, you asked me before
if I think you could,
if there's anything off limits, and I don't know. And frankly, I don't think it's my decision.
Okay.
I think it's the decision of the people who, are not affected, but like the people, I guess affected by the subject matter being joked about. Like, I'm not gonna, okay, so if there's a joke about assault, I think that if someone who was raped decides that they don't want to hear it, that's fair. Yeah, of
Right.
course you don't.
It's not
So it's not
shocking.
up to me. I think it's up to the communities of people.
Right. I think a lot of things
That-
aren't up to us. But
Yeah.
like,
No. And I think it for a long time the power has been viewed differently, and I think for the first time we're saying no. How about ask the people that are being affected, and I think that's kind of cool. I don't necessarily agree with every way it's been implemented, but
okay,
I think the idea as a whole isn't all bad. So yeah, I think that's
okay.
I feel good talking that through. That's been weighing on me for the last week.
I could tell when you came in, you were like, I have an idea. I was like, that's what we're doing. She seems to care.
I did. It was really stressing me out because my coworkers are all very split. So thank you for tuning in to Be Decisive. It was great to be back. I am Catherine Connor.
And I am Natalie Jimenez.
And we'll catch you next week, 9 a.m. on WICR.
Whoop, whoop.
Have a good one.